All right. I'd like to introduce Jackie. She has an amazing recovery story, which I'd love to share with you guys. And if you go ahead, you know what? Just give us the gist of, um, the symptoms that you had, the all the things that you were going through, and what you think got you there, right? What before you got to the perfect storm, and what you used to get you recovered.
Okay, so right now, so I've been diagnosed with mast cell activation syndrome, multiple chemical sensitivity, CFS, and a couple of other things. Uh, and when I got very, very sick, which was the perfect storm, as you said, when the day came where I couldn't get out of bed. Um, it was about a year ago, just a little more than a year ago.
Oh,
And
that's not long ago. That's
no,
pretty,
it wasn't
yeah.
long ago at all. Um, and I'm, I've been suffering from multiple chemical sensitivity for many years. And that kind of all started with, believe it or not, peppers.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it was,
That's what pushed you over the hill.
well, that was like about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I guess. So I've been having like chronic health problems for about 15 years, and it started with Hashimoto's.
Right.
Um, and I'm the kind of person that I will go to the doctor and I'll try some medicine or whatever that they give me, and it usually doesn't work for me. So then I do a lot of research and I try to do natural ways of fixing myself or getting healthy again or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
when I had Hashimoto's, I got it into remission
Hmm.
by doing a bunch of things. So I went on the autoimmune protocol diet, the AIP diet. I was on the AIP diet for 2 years. So I didn't eat gluten, didn't eat dairy, didn't eat basically anything except for meat and vegetables, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and then I started getting better from that. And then I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh
So
wow.
that was when I was 54. And
Okay. Yeah.
I found out, so I before that, I had found out that my family, some of my family, we have the BRCA gene mutation.
Yeah.
And I did not want to go get tested because I didn't want to put that seed of fear into my brain, right?
Yeah.
So, which I ended up getting breast cancer anyway, and I ended up getting tested for that, and I do have the BRCA gene mutation. So they caught it early enough where I didn't have to have chemotherapy or radiation. I did have the option to get radiation, but I was 54 years old. I don't need these things anymore. So I was just like, take them off. I don't care. I don't want them. They're trying to kill me. Just
Yeah.
get rid of them, right? So I opted to go for bilateral mastectomy. And then they said, okay, well, if you do that, then what we can do is just put implants in right away. Just
Oh,
you have the
okay.
surgery, you get the implants. So I was like, awesome. I'll walk in with boobs and I'll walk out with boobs, fake boobs, right?
Yeah, and you know what? Some people do that. They pay for that,
I
right?
know, right? I got
And
a
they
free
want
boob
that.
job.
So yeah.
Well, then I started getting all kinds of crazy symptoms. And
Right.
I was gaining weight. I felt awful. I was getting all these pains in my joints. My eyes were doing weird things, like just doing stuff like this, or just going out of focus for no reason and then coming back into focus. I never used to wear glasses except to read, and now I have to wear glasses all the time because I now have a stigma. Anyway, or stigmatism. Anyway, so one day when I was at work, I worked in high tech at the time, and we were having a big, huge lunch meeting, and they brought in all these pizzas. And at that time, I was still kind of on the AIP diet, so I didn't eat any pizza or anything like that. I didn't have
Hadn't had
any
gluten.
nightshades at all, nothing like
So you
that.
didn't have gluten for how long? Was it
Oh,
that you did
many,
three
many
years?
years, like
Okay.
5, 6 years at that point.
Right.
Um, and then I was sitting there in the meeting and I was having a salad. Everybody else was having pizza. And there must have been 10 pizzas in that room. And
Right.
people are passing the pizza around. And all of a sudden, I'm like, ah, I'm feeling really weird.
Yeah.
And I started like kind of feeling a little bit like anxious, and my heart was beating really fast and my throat felt like and then I started coughing, and then I left the room because I was coughing, coughing, coughing. I ended up going outside and I was like, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I was having an anaphylactic reaction, basically.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So luckily a guy that I worked with at the time, he was allergic to a lot of stuff. So he had Benadryl in his desk drawer. So he gave me a couple of Benadryl. And on the way home, I stopped in at the pharmacy, and the pharmacist was like, yeah, you should have used an EpiPen and you should have gone to the hospital. Right. And I was like, oh,
Right.
okay, this is really something. So of
Yeah.
course, I
Right.
talked to my doctor. I went to see an allergist. We did all the tests. Yes, you're allergic to peppers. Okay. And then and not only am I allergic to peppers, but it's an airborne anaphylactic reaction. So I
Oh,
can't
that
even
makes it.
be in
Yeah.
a room with peppers.
Right. Not like peanuts, where I think you can, you touch it and somebody else, that's bad enough. But if it's in the air, that you could be anywhere. You need to carry that with you. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's another level.
yeah. So that put me in the hospital a couple of times.
Yeah.
Um, and I was getting other really weird symptoms. My chest always felt super tight. I always, like with those implants, I always felt like somebody was pushing into my chest all the time, you know?
Yeah.
So
I've had that.
then I started kind of, for some reason, I heard about breast implant illness. So I decided I'm going to look into this. And it turned out there's like 75 symptoms with breast implant illness.
Yeah.
I had about 70 of them. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I got to get them out. So
Right.
I decided I had decided, okay, I'm gonna get them out and I'm just gonna go flat, right? And then my sister, who also, she had breast cancer as well, and she had done a surgery called the deep flap surgery, where they take fat from your stomach and move it up into your breasts. So at the last minute, I decided I was gonna go that way. So it's like an 8-hour surgery.
Oh.
And so now I'm going into the hospital for this surgery, and I have to stay in the hospital for 3 or 4 days after the surgery. And I'm terrified because what if I'm in the hospital room and there's somebody beside me who's eating spicy foods? What
Right.
if
Yeah.
somebody comes in with the Tim Hortons? It's in all the hospitals now, and I can't go into a Tim Hortons because they cook with peppers. And
Right.
I'm like terrified that I'm going to be in a room. So I was like talking to everybody that I could, like the administration, anybody that I could talk to. And they said, yeah, you can pay extra to get a private room, but we can't guarantee it. So I was like,
Right.
oh, great. So, now my anxiety is starting to go up a little bit.
Oh yeah. Your alarm system is going up. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, so I had the surgery, and even when I woke up from the surgery, they couldn't tell me. They couldn't tell me until I got to my room whether I was having a private room or not. I ended up with a
Okay.
private room, thank God, and
Yeah.
it was fine. And then I came out of there and I started feeling better right away, like instantly. If you saw a picture of me from 2 days before my surgery and a picture of me the day after my surgery, I almost look like a different person, because all of a sudden I have life back in my eyes. My
Yeah.
face was like sagging, and I was like, I was lifted, I felt great, and life went on, and I was doing really well, just avoiding
Right.
peppers, that kind of thing. But then I started getting really bad, like, oh, now I can't smell like laundry detergent or bounce dryer sheets. They were killer for me. Like I
Right.
couldn't be near anybody who had perfume or any kind of scented product. Like it was just getting worse and worse and worse. And chemicals, like my partner lives in an apartment, and I would go over to his place, and his next door neighbor had one of those like fly strips hanging on his balcony. And one day I was there and I was like, what is that smell? Oh, and then I started having like a panic attack, and I was like, oh my God, I can't breathe. And my brain is doing all kinds of crazy things. And like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I can't, and he ended up having to take me home, and things just got worse and worse and worse from there.
How long
And
ago was this? When did this
so
start
that
happening?
was about 3 years ago, 2, 3 years ago.
Okay.
And then,
Right.
uh, and then last year at about this time, I'm getting worse and worse. I went on stress leave from work. My work was very, very stressful.
What
And
kind of work was it?
I did, so for about 30 some years, I did printed circuit board design.
Oh,
And then that was becoming too stressful for me. So I changed over to configuration management.
right.
And that's basically giving parts, part numbers, making bills of material, that kind of stuff. So I didn't think it was going to be as stressful. It turned out to be even more stressful.
Right.
So my high stress job was just getting worse and worse. And then COVID happened, right?
Right. The cherry
I
on the cake.
Yeah. So COVID, I was fine working from home, and I was used to working from home anyway, because if I was at work and anybody brought peppers into work or anybody was wearing perfume or anything like that, I would have to leave. So I worked from home a lot. And
Right.
then once COVID happened, I was just working from home all the time. But my job was getting more and more stressful. And I
Hmm.
ended up going on stress leave for about 4 months. And I wanted to go on permanent disability, but I just couldn't face doing all the paperwork and all the legwork that you have to do to go on disability. You have to
Oh
prove
yeah.
so much, right?
Right.
So I was just like, oh, screw it. I'm just going to go back to work. So I went back to work, and things just got worse. And then
Hmm.
um, the perfect storm came when I I was we went on vacation, and we decided to drive down to Myrtle Beach. And I live in Ottawa, and
Right.
so it's like, a day's drive, 13, 14 hours or whatever, right? So we were just going to
Yeah,
do it.
you're about 9 hours from me, I think. Yeah, because I'm in
Yeah.
Waterloo.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So we leave at about 5 in the morning. We stopped in Brockville at the McDonald's there to get our breakfast, and we're sitting there waiting in at the window, waiting for our food. And the guy
Right.
behind me runs into me, back ends me.
Oh.
And luckily, right behind him, there was a cop. So
Oh wow.
we got that squared away really quickly.
Yeah.
And then we kept
Yeah.
driving and we went on
Yeah.
our vacation, but it was a really stressful drive there because it was snowing like about halfway to there. And then when we got there, it was like, and I'm a terrible passenger in the car. I get really bad anxiety, like, and my partner is Italian. He drives like an Italian. So,
So
so
yeah.
I get a little nervous.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got there. It was cold. So um, after the third day, I think the second or third day, I decided, okay, I'm going to turn on the heat, which was a huge mistake because the heat hadn't been turned on in a long time. There was all this dust in the air. I couldn't breathe in the apartment we were in. And then the next day, so that night, we're like, I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I can't breathe. My chest is killing me. I'm like, oh my God. So
Yeah.
we take the mattress off, we put it down in the living room, we open the door. I'm like lying with my head stuck at the door, trying to breathe some fresh air. And then the next day, it's the pollen started. And that
Oh yeah.
year was the worst year that they've ever had with pollen. You would leave your car outside for an hour and there'd be a quarter inch of pollen. All everything was yellow. The
Mm.
sea was yellow. Like, and they said that they had never ever had that much pollen before, ever in Myrtle Beach, right? So now, and I've never been affected by pollen before, but I cannot, now I can't breathe outside and I can't breathe inside. So the whole
Right.
time I was there, I was tapping, trying to
Yeah.
get myself to calm down. Oh, and it was awful, awful, awful. I felt terrible the whole time. We finally left a day early. The whole way back was pouring rain. It was awful. And I was just getting more and more and more nervous and agitated, anxious. And I was like sitting there like this the whole way, you know.
More
And,
symptoms, more, yeah.
and then we got home. We had to wash absolutely everything because everything was covered in pollen and I couldn't breathe. I
Yeah.
mean, so, and then we had a medical, the next day or 2 days later, we had a very serious medical emergency with my granddaughter.
Right.
So, and I live with my son and my granddaughter. We share a duplex. They live on one side and I live on the other. And so I kind of help parent her because he's a single parent. Anyway, so that was like just another thing. Plus, I was getting, I had vaccine injury from my third COVID shot. The first two, I had Pfizer. The third one, I had Moderna or whatever it is. And
AstraZeneca,
no, it was Moderna, I think.
Moderna. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, I had very bad reaction to that. I had all kinds of hormonal systems. I'm 60 years old. I
Hmm.
had my period for 4 months after that. I haven't had my period
Oh,
in 15 years.
that's crazy.
I
Yeah.
had all these crazy hormonal things going on in my body. It felt like I was like going through puberty um
Yeah.
and then menopause all over again. Like it was crazy, right? And my anxiety started
Yeah,
really.
that would be scary, of course.
I
Right.
well, plus it was just causing this anxiety. Like I couldn't get rid of it. Like I was like this all the time, and I was reacting to everything. I was so badly into fight and flight that it was crazy, right? And
Yeah.
then I went into dorsal. I just froze. Like I just was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. One day I woke up and I was like, oh my God, like I feel awful. I had a couple of trips to the hospital and I could like I would wake up in the middle of the night having really bad episodes, you know, where I got so weak. I was so weak and I couldn't breathe in my own house. I had 3 air purifiers going full blast, plus wearing a N95 mask, and I still couldn't breathe very well in my house. And I kept myself in my bedroom. And I got to the point where I could barely walk to the bathroom. And I was working from my bed, you know, thank
Right.
God I could work from home. But I
I'm
was
s-
in
shocked that
bed
you're still working.
working.
That's
Well,
yeah.
at this point, like I can't stop working.
Yeah.
Anyway, luckily for me, on April 18th last year, I got laid off. And I was like,
Okay, good.
yes, thank
Right. From the
God.
from above, it kind of, it's like, all right, we're gonna help you now. We're gonna,
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, okay. I went on EI and I just said, okay, that's it, you know. Now I have I'm going to take this opportunity. My full-time job right now is going to heal.
Yep.
In the meantime, I was listening. I'd always thought that what I had was multiple chemical sensitivity because that's what I was diagnosed with at the, I think it was a respirologist or an allergist who diagnosed me with that.
Right.
And I was listening to a podcast trying to figure out, okay, because you know what they say, all these doctors, all they say is, yeah, we can't do anything for you. Just stay away from those things, right?
Right.
So I was listening to this podcast on multiple chemical sensitivity. And of course, I got on all the Facebook groups and it's
Yep.
all like
Doom and gloom. Yeah.
doom and
Creates a
gloom.
reality.
And
Bad
yeah,
information. Wrong
and
information.
people living out in the woods in their trailers, in their cars
Yeah.
because they can't, all that, right? And I was like, there's no way. So I was listening to this podcast and the guy, I don't even remember who it was. At that time, I was so far gone.
Yep.
Nothing was going in here, my cognitive
Right.
ability were just so he said a lot of people that get diagnosed with multiple chemical sensitivity actually have mast cell activation. And I was like, what? What is this? So I started
Yeah.
looking into that. And of course, I joined all the Facebook groups.
Right.
So, and
Been
again,
there, done that.
all these
Yeah.
people that are taking all these medications that are not helping them at all and
No, I know.
making them even feel worse, right? And at that time, the only thing I could eat was sweet potatoes without
Right.
having a reaction. Kale put me in the hospital.
Right.
Um, and then from all the surgeries that I've had so many surgeries because of all of this. I've had so many hospital
Yeah.
visits.
Your bucket's full now.
I have, and I still have PTSD from trauma being in the hospital.
Yep.
After my last surgery, 10 days after it, I passed out in the shower and broke my ankle. So I
Yeah.
was trying to recover from this major surgery where I got cut open from hip bone to hip bone and then up
Right.
here as well. And then I break my ankle. So,
Yeah. It's especially like 8 hour. Like I had a 5 hour, I think 5 or 6 hour surgery. That puts a lot of stress on the body,
oh
big
my
time.
God. Yeah, it
And then
was
if you're doing it multiple, like again and again and again, that fills up your bucket real quick. And that brings you at the baseline at 1,000 right quick. Yeah.
absolutely. And my body does not do well with the anesthetic. Like I would be throwing up for days afterwards. It was, yeah,
Right.
not fun. Anyway, so yeah, I was stuck at home, couldn't breathe the air in my house. I couldn't breathe the air outside either because the wildfires started here. So
All right.
everything was smoky outside. I couldn't breathe
Yep.
outside again. I couldn't breathe outside. I couldn't open my windows. I couldn't breathe inside. So
Yeah. And
it
it
was
wasn't just smoky. It
insane.
had like a chemical smoke smell to it.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was not good.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I started finding out about mast cell, and then I made an appointment. I see nurse practitioner in a center here in Ottawa that it used to be called the Integrative Cancer Center, but they do both allopathic and natural medicine, right? So there's a nurse practitioner there that I see for any kind of health problems. So
Yep.
I talked to her about it. And she wanted to put me on something like, I think it was called Cromlin or something like that. And I was just like, I can't take anything right now. I can barely drink water. I was reacting to water. And
Right.
um, so she just said, well, you probably have CFS too. So I was like, oh, of course I do. That's
Yeah.
why,
Of
like,
course.
so then I started going on to the groups about CFS.
Oh,
But
fun.
in one of the MCAS groups, I saw something about neural retraining.
Right.
So I joined that group. I think it's called Neural Friends or something like that. I joined that group
I think
and I
I'm on there.
started finding out about DNRS and Gupta. So I was
Right.
like, okay, then I was trying to figure out, okay, which one should I take? The DNRS one or the Gupta one?
Yep.
But neither one of them were resonating with me.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and then in that Neural Friends one, somebody had posted something about primal trust and about how
Right.
they work with your nervous system and they do the somatics and they do all this other stuff. So I was like, I think that's the one that I need. But
Right.
it's 96 American dollars a month, which
Right.
translated to almost $140 a month here, right?
Right.
And I
Yeah.
just lost my job. So,
Right. And
but I,
it's probably you need to be on it for a year because it's slow drip. The information's slow drip, so you can't just learn
well,
it all real quick.
you can do level one in about
Yeah.
2 or 3 months, right? So I thought I'm just going to do level one and then I'm going to stop. But
Yeah.
because I was so full up, my allostatic load was so full,
Yep.
I could barely do anything. So any
Hmm.
little tiny thing that I tried to do was making me have a reaction, right? So
Yeah.
I started off really, really slow.
Yep.
Um, but before I joined Primal Trust, I was searching the internet. Okay, brain retraining, finding anything with brain retraining. But a year ago, there was hardly anything
Oh,
on the internet. There was hardly anything that I could find on YouTube. I
right.
found this one meditation by the Limbic All Star. And I would listen to that meditation over and over and over and over every day. I would just listen to it.
Right.
And then at one point, I heard, I watched this reel. I don't know if you ever heard of the Every Little Cell song.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't. Maybe
Oh,
I've heard it.
so
Not sure.
that song, it, because I realized, okay, I need to get my dose chemicals up, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that song, it's very, very simple. It
Hmm.
just goes, every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well. And then you just sing that verse again. So I started singing that song. And every time I
Right.
would sing it, I would elevate.
Elevate. Yep.
Yeah. So then I started changing the words and I started adding verses. So then it became every little cell in my body is grateful. Every little cell in my body is healing. Every little cell in my body is blessed. And I just kept adding words and adding words and adding words. So now my little song has become I think I have about 20 or 30 words in my song
Yeah.
and I sing it every morning.
Right.
I dance with it every
Yes.
morning. I do
Yeah.
I do my exercises with it every morning. I have this little routine that I do in my
Right.
exercises.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm singing this song. And my first verse is always every little cell in my body is manifesting.
Right.
And I embody every single word that I'm saying. When I say
Right.
I'm blessed, I go, I'm blessed. You know, when I
Right.
say I'm grateful, every little cell in my body is grateful. Like I feel it. I feel
Right.
every little thing in my body, right?
That's
I'm
amazing.
carefree. I've got, abundance, prosperity, creativeness. Like I've got so many words in this song now. It's crazy. And I sing it every morning and I dance to it every morning while I'm making my breakfast.
Right.
So I'm up to, I think 11 or 12 foods now.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
I was only able to eat sweet potatoes for about 4 months, I think it was.
Right.
And then my partner was like, why don't you try some oatmeal? Because I had tried to work with a naturopath and she gave me the histamine diet and
Yeah.
I couldn't eat anything on it.
No, I know. Yeah.
And and before, like I never used to eat grains at all. So, and if I ate oatmeal, I would get a really, really sore stomach.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'll try it. And I tried it and I could eat it. So now I'm like oatmeal and sweet potatoes.
Right.
So,
Well, that's a big difference. So when you're just doing, one or two foods and you get another food and it makes, it gives you, it's like you can get so much more variety. You can get, creative, have a little bit of recipes, a little different
yeah,
textures. It
Yeah.
means a
So,
lot.
and then I tried some beef and I was able to eat the beef and then chicken and salmon and now I can have potatoes. I eat a lot of potatoes, but I eat potato chips because I'm lazy.
Yeah.
I don't like
Mine,
cooking. So I eat a lot of potato chips with cheese. I can eat like very thin slices of very, very mild cheese now.
nice.
And
Yeah,
I can
ease in,
eat,
right? Yeah.
I can now eat these little, I tried that you can buy these little miniature blueberry pies. So I
Ooh.
can eat these little miniature blueberry pies, and I just added dark chocolate, like 85% chocolate. Like all these things, they're
Oh,
such
I love dark chocolate.
huge wins, right? They're such
Yeah,
huge wins.
they are. Yeah.
And so, and then like at one point when I was still pretty bad, whenever I could go outside, my partner
Hmm.
would come and he would bring me to like, he would just bring me down to the park and we would walk from the car to a bench with him holding on to me. And then we'd walk back. And then
Nice. Yeah.
we slowly started going a little bit further, a little bit further. And then one day I was able to go around the block, you know,
Nice.
like every and that's the thing is like every win I celebrate it so hard.
Yeah.
Like even now when I do my housework, I haven't done housework in years. I always had a housekeeper. I always had a house cleaner. So now
Yeah.
because I lost my job, I'm like, oh, now I have to clean my own house. But
Yeah.
But now when I finish a room, like, I'll do one room at a time, or I'll do the dusting, or whenever I finish a task, I'm like, high five, yes, way to
Yeah.
go. Yay, woo.
No, that's what you got to do, right? And you get a routine going,
Exactly.
you stick to it and you'll enjoy it. Like I love my routine. I had to have it every day, keep doing it. And that's how you get out of your circle more and more. And then you're, starting to
Yeah.
walk further and it's amazing.
Yeah. But I tried having a routine and I can't. It
Yeah.
it gives me so much anxiety and it just makes me so stressed out to try and keep a routine. And now that I'm retired, because after, a little while, I was just like, I'm 64 years old. I was going to retire next year anyway. I'm just going to retire now. I talked to my financial guy and I'm like, you have to make this work because I'm not going back to work. So
Yeah.
we figured it out. I'm retired, very, very happily retired. And then as soon as I felt like I could, I decided, okay, I need to do something outside of myself. I've always been a person that helps other people. Like I'm a Reiki master, so I've always done Reiki. I've done Reiki for years and years and years, helping people with. I used to work 4 days a week in high tech, and then I had one day a week where I would go and do Reiki for people,
Oh, that's
right?
nice.
And I do also Indian head massage and a bunch of different modalities. So I'm a healer on one side and a and,
Mm.
and a techno weenie on the other side.
Right. It's a perfect balance.
And I'm also an artist, so I do my artwork and stuff like that. Anyway, so yeah, we started doing more walking and then once I could do something outside of myself and I was starting to get bored at home, I decided to help out with my local food bank because it's just down the street from me. I can walk there and I can just do 1 2 hour shift a week and I'm helping people.
Right.
So it gives me something outside of myself to look at and to enjoy. I love the walk there. I love the walk back. I love being there. It's, it's you're helping people like it's
Yeah.
just wonderful. And
It's really important. I think it's really important to help people, right? Especially when we've been through something through our lives,
yeah,
you want to help other people, especially the people that have been through what we've been through. And we know now that there are ways of getting out of it. You don't have to be stuck in these, Facebook groups and these realities that they create in these groups. There is a way out, and
yeah.
I'm so happy that connect with people like you, because then we can come together to spread that message that we can help as many
Well,
people as possible.
Right, right. And actually, you're completely correct about the Facebook groups. Like I actually left most of them, but
Yeah.
there's one that I'm in.
Hmm.
It's, but we're not allowed to talk about symptoms in it, and all we
Yeah.
do is help each other. And we talk about all the recovery programs, we talk about all the coaches, we talk about, and we have like every day we have like 3 or 4 times where everybody gets together and we co-regulate. So we'll either do a brain retraining together, or we'll do meditation or somatic tracking or a yoga
Oh,
nidra
nice.
or anything, right? So whoever, and it's all peer led. So we're all helping each other.
Nice.
And it's an amazing Facebook group. I love it so much. I actually became an administrator to
Oh,
it.
nice.
Um, so after I joined that group, I had just I was just finishing up Primal Trust, the level 1, after 5 months, right? And
Hmm.
so that got me from being bedbound to getting out and maybe walking around the block. I
Right.
was still, but I knew that I needed something else. Like I was just missing some component. I was still stuck.
Right.
And then in our group, we started talking about TMS. And
Right. TMS. Right.
yeah,
Dr. Sarnos.
oh my God, what a game changer. What
Yeah.
a game changer. So we started, everybody started like sharing videos and sharing books and sharing like not sharing the actual book, but saying this is a great read. Everybody should read it.
Mm.
And so with my recovery, even though I was good, like I was good with the MCS and I was good with the CFS, I had no problem with the sensations that I was getting from those two things. And now I can pretty much go anywhere except restaurants. I'm still working on the peppers thing, but the chemical stuff, I'm fine. I can sit beside somebody who has uses Brown's dryer sheets. It's
Right.
just the really super pungent stuff that I still get, a little
Even
long.
normal people, even that's annoying to a normal person,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's
That's
fine.
it, right? But the food, I was still like, oh, I couldn't get rid of that innate fear that every time I would try something new, and I would just like, I had a pumpkin seed, and I'm like, okay. And I would just lick it and I put it on the table and I go away and say, okay, what's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Because I've had so much trauma over the food. And because my food reactions are all respiratory, it's not my
Oh, yeah.
stomach, it's my throat closes up, my mouth gets all like crazy, and inside it's all burning, and my chest closes up, and it gets really, really scary. It
Yeah.
like I've been to the hospital a few times because of it, because they are anaphylactic reactions.
Mhm.
So I was still having a lot of trouble with the food, with getting that fear out of my way, right? And then just I guess about a month ago, I listened to, because I still have a little bit of cognitive stuff, especially if I'm around sense. I don't let them bother me, but I still get like a little bit of like, I call it a wobble. It's like a brain fog or something. I don't even know how to explain it, but um yeah, so it's fine. I'm fine with like, if I go out and hike for 3 hours and I come back and I'm sore and I'm tired, I don't care. I can
That's
handle
normal.
that. I can sit with
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
sensations. I'm not afraid of those sensations. I'm not afraid of the chemical reactions. I'm afraid of the food reactions, right? So I read or I listened to Alan Gordon's The Way Out.
Right.
Well, first of all, I read a book by Laws Evans called A Rational Approach, and she used the stop method. And I started using that, and that brought me to the next level. That was like, oh my God. And that was groundbreaking for me. But I still couldn't do the food. I was still like,
Right.
oh, I was just, and then I read Alan Gordon, or I listened to his book, and
Palatable.
he makes it so simple and so like his voice is so soft and gentle, and the way that he talks, you feel safe.
Yeah.
You just feel safe, right? So I'm listening to his book on my walks, and I put my headphones on, I go for my walk and listen to the book, and I'm just like, oh my God, oh my God. So last weekend, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it. And I just tried little teeny tiny pieces, you know. So last weekend I tried hummus and pita bread because my partner brought some over. Because
Right.
I stopped buying food to try them because I was just wasting so much money trying, like, okay, I
Been there
gotta
before.
spend $10 to try a tiny little piece of something, you know.
Yeah, you can't buy a small piece. You only can get a big batch,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So anyway, and I was fine with it. I did have some sensations, but I just sat with it. I love somatic tracking. I love,
Right.
love, love it. I love feeling those sensations because I've never in my life gone into my body to try and feel what was going on.
Right.
And, you know, I was brought up in the
Distract,
60s,
distract, avoid.
70s. Don't get angry. Don't show us any of your emotions except smiling. Like, you know, you're not allowed
Right.
to get upset. You're not allowed to. And I was the sixth of seven. So, you know, my parents were pretty busy, and I'm not saying that they were bad parents. They were very, very good parents, but my father was pretty volatile. So I've had some trauma from some of his reactions in my life. And so I've suppressed my emotions my whole life.
Yeah.
And now I'm learning how to not
Feel them.
suppress them.
Yeah.
And my poor partner, he's
Yeah.
getting a little bit of the brunt of some of it. You know, I'm trying to be like, but I'm also trying to I'm trying to speak my truth. I'm trying
Right.
to say, look, I'm getting upset right now, so we need to either change this up or whatever. Whereas
Yeah.
before, I would not say anything, not say anything, not say anything, and then I would just blow up, you know.
Right. People pleaser.
I was totally a people pleaser. I
Yeah.
I you know, I'm at the point right now, Helmet, where I don't even know who I am anymore. Like I don't know who this person is because all of a sudden I'm starting to go, oh, okay, well, wait a minute. What is going on here? You know, I don't like that. And I I'm actually telling somebody that I don't like that. I used to run from conflict.
Right.
I would be terrified of conflict.
Now you're allowing yourself to get uncomfortable.
Now I'm allowing myself to get uncomfortable. And now I'm allowing myself to get angry. And when that anger comes, I'm like, okay, good. I'm getting angry. This is awesome, you know, and I'm punching pillows and I'm growling and I'm doing all the things that you're
Yeah.
supposed to do.
No, that's good. That's amazing. Oh yeah. Because
Yeah.
you're expressing it. You're emptying that allostatic load. You're getting yourself out of that fight or flight state. That baseline's coming down, right? And you're
Yeah,
releasing, you're letting go, right? It's amazing.
that's it. And even the other way too, like now when I'm getting excited, I'm like, oh my God, this is so great. Like, and I've been watching, you know, this, I'm sure everybody's going to be like, oh my God. But I've been watching a lot of reality programs since I got sick, catching up on a lot of reality programs. So I've been watching Big Brother Canada this season. I'm like, come on, come on, vote for Bailey, vote for Bailey.
Yeah.
So I'm, you know, and you know that that is getting into, it's not parasympathetic anymore. When you're there, you're into sympathetic. But it's an exciting, it's exciting. It's, you're getting your
Right.
energy up, but it's exciting. It's not that, awful, stressful,
Right. It's
this
not
is
a
a
fight,
little bit of stress, but it's
good
exciting
stress.
stress. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to be able to now handle that, whereas before I couldn't even handle that at all. Like
I
any
know.
little thing, especially when it came to medical. Just like, okay, if anything else happens to me, I don't care. I'm just going to stay home. I'm going to die at home. I don't
Yeah.
care. I'm not going back to the hospital. I'm not going back to my doctor. I'm not, there's no way, right?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still getting over all of that trauma, but I am getting over it.
Well,
Oh,
you
the
will.
one thing that also happened when I was in the fray, like in the middle of having really, really bad reactions and being in bed and stuff, like I was
Hmm.
having, I would be curled up in a little ball and I'd be like, oh, like this, because
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with my body. And my partner came in one day and he started rubbing my legs. Like he started pulling my legs out from my crouching position. He's rubbing my legs saying, babe, just tell your brain you're in control. Tell your brain you're in control, right? And
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm in control, brain, I'm in control. And then I was seeing another healer, and he told me, and this was key for me. This became my mantra. He said, say, I am safe. I am safe. Just make that your mantra. I am safe. I am safe. So I started with I am safe. And then it got to I am safe. I am calm. I am in control and I am strong. And I would say that over and over and over and over. I am safe. I am calm. I am in control. I am strong. And it
Yeah.
helped to get me calmed down again. So the more I did that, the more I like the less urgent my symptoms became.
Right.
And they weren't as strong and they weren't but also, I wasn't eating anything and I was at home, not going anywhere, not doing anything. So yeah, it was so I don't know if I told you everything, but um I yeah, I've been since doing the TMS work, it's been a complete game changer for me.
I also like TMS because it's a lot less complicated, which complicated I don't like because that's it's triggering and it brings the baseline up and it's more involved and it's exhausting, right? So I like TMS because you're feeling the feelings, you're engaging in life, you're keeping it more simple, which brings your baseline down. And I think that's what I really liked about Dr. Cernos and the whole community. I think the community is great, and I think it's a great introduction to the mind body space. And I think people need to know more about the mind body space. And I think it's great.
I totally agree. I mean, we need to people need to learn more about their nervous system, how the
Yep.
brain works, how the limbic system works. Like when you figure all that out, it's like you're
Yeah,
just like,
it's mind blowing.
oh
It's mind
my
blowing.
God.
Yeah.
And it changes everything. Like after I read that book by Laws Evans, the rational approach and the stop method, and she was like, don't even talk about anything. You're not sick. Don't even talk about it. Don't even mention any symptoms. Don't say that you have CFS. Don't say that. Don't leave all the groups. Just go and live your life. Live
Yeah.
your life, right? So I'm
Well, it makes sense because we're just reaffirming to the brain to keep the alarms on every time we talk about symptoms. Every time we go, oh, I feel like, yeah, but you don't understand, but I feel, and I have
and
this,
what
and
caused that?
the labels, right?
And
And it
what
just the brain
caused
goes,
that,
okay,
right? Okay,
we're in
was it,
danger. Keep the alarm on. Yeah,
yeah, and you're constantly investigating, constantly.
right,
Okay, I've got the symptom. Was it because I ate this, or was it because I smelled that, or was it because, and now that I know about emotions, was it like what emotion was I thinking of? Like
right.
what was I
And then you
doing?
start digging. You're digging
Yeah,
for trauma. You're digging for emotions. You're digging, right? It's like that brings the
yeah.
baseline up.
And then you become hyper vigilant, which
Yeah,
oh,
of
that's
course.
not fun at all, right? You're like, what's that? What's that? You know?
Right.
So yeah. So I'm at the point now I always say I'm 100% recovered. I'm not really, but I say it anyway because I
You
am.
know what? I think
In my
recovery is
brain, I'm
if
100% recovered.
yeah, because I think recovery technically means that you're able to live life fully but still have symptoms,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
But if you want to go deeper and get restored, okay, that's the next level. Okay, that's fine. That's when
Yeah,
we get rid of all the symptoms. Sure,
exactly. Yes. And the other thing is it's your mindset,
right?
no? And if you have the mindset, yeah, I'm recovered. I, yeah, when I do a 5K walk or like if I'm walking out in the woods for 3 hours, I'm going to come home and I'm going to be tired. And I'm going to, when you sit down for half an hour and then you get up and you can barely move.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's because I'm 64 years old
You've
and I
earned
haven't been
you've earned
walking
it. Yeah, you walk 6 kilometers, you come home, you're gonna feel tired. You earned that tiredness. And it
any
feels
normal
good to be
person,
tired.
any
Yeah,
normal person would be tired and a little bit sore. So yeah,
right. Yeah,
right?
for me, when I go do something and I come home, I'm like, oh shit, I walked 10 kilometers and I did this and that. I feel good. I feel good about that. I feel like I check mark, I accomplished something today.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm laying down and I can feel good about laying down. I don't have to feel so guilty that I didn't do it. It feels good. It's like a reward.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing too, right? Is if you have a reward system for yourself, that's even awesome.
Dark chocolate.
I high five myself after I finish vacuuming a room. Woohoo! Way to go,
Yeah,
Jackie.
me, it's dark chocolate. I love dark chocolate. That's
Oh,
my
I was so happy. Like that was one of the first things I was trying, just a little tiny piece of dark chocolate because I
yeah,
live on dark chocolate. Like I used to live on dark chocolate. And
me too. I
and now my next one is coffee. I need to get my coffee back.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah. So
So
last
yeah.
weekend I actually tried a little sip of coffee too, which was
Oh
awesome.
yeah, nice. So yeah, you just keep going and everything will just regulate when it's ready to. That's amazing.
And that's what I think too. I at first I had a timeline
Yep,
and my timeline was 1 year.
yep.
I I did kind of reach my timeline, like I did reach my goal. And I want to tell you this, okay? When you asked me to come and talk to you, I started crying. I'm going to start crying again because when I first started this recovery journey, some of the people in our groups were like, you have to watch some of these recovery videos. They're great, right? And the first one that I watched, I was like, I am going to be one of those people. I am going to be at the point where somebody's going to want to interview me about my recovery. And then you, and then you asked me to come on this show, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm there. I
Wait,
manifested this. I
yeah.
have recovered enough that somebody wants to talk to me about my recovery. And that was my secret ultimate goal. I never told anybody about that goal.
No, that's crazy. It's like a divine timing. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah. So,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
happy that I could make that happen for you. That's amazing. And thank you for doing all your work because you're giving other people hope, right? This is why, not even just the success stories, but also the journey too is important, right? I
Oh,
want people to
yeah.
see,
And
I
and
want people
that's
to
the
see the
thing is like
stuff.
you do
Yeah,
get setbacks and you do have, and those days I just go, okay, I guess it's a rest day. And I
yeah,
either, read a book or I'll play games or even like on days where I do have symptoms and we'll have gone and done something or whatever, we come back and I'll just say, okay, let's just play a game because it's an active rest. It's not resting. It's an
right.
active rest. So you're not just like lying there doing nothing and
You're
you're
not giving up.
still, you're not giving
No,
up. Yes.
you're just taking some time to do something else and elevating in another way.
You're regulating.
Yeah.
don't rest, regulate.
Right.
That's what I've learned too, is like, don't rest, regulate. So either do some, like, do a brain retraining, do some somatic tracking, do a yoga nidra. Yoga nidra has been so awesome for me because, I mean, before all of this happened, I was, for years and years, I've been getting maybe 4 hours of sleep a night.
Wow.
And now I'm like up to 7 and 8 hours of sleep a night, which is,
Almost too much. You're like,
oh,
you know what? I had too much. Oh, it's amazing.
yeah. So
You know what I noticed also is the pattern that I see with myself also is you made that choice. You weren't gonna half-ass it. You weren't gonna straddle the fence about it. You were gonna make the choice and do it and get your life back. And you were day by day by day,
yeah.
you stuck.
Well,
You're
and
putting
the
in the
one thing in primal trust that she said, that Kathleen at one point said, you have to move your body every day. So all you have to do is say, I'm a person who chooses to move my body every day. And that was a big aha moment for me too. I was just
yeah,
like, okay, I am a person who chooses to move my body every day. And I decided that day, I'm moving my body every day. So when I was in bed, I would do leg lifts lying in bed. I would do arm motions lying in bed. I would do like anything lying in bed to try and get my body to move. And then I would like walk up and down my hallway. And
that's
then
how I started.
even when I started doing that song, I would, some days I'd be like in there and be like, every little cell in my body. And I would just be like
Yeah.
moving, my legs felt like lead, but I didn't care. I would move them anyway. I was determined. And I think that's the thing, is that you have to have belief,
Mhm.
determination, and hope.
Yeah.
If you don't have hope, if you're hopeless, you might as well sit
Yeah.
down and, you
That
know,
faith that keeps you there when you're at your worst, when you have no like your reality is telling you everything, all the doubt, but you have to have that faith that you're gonna push through it anyway. That's what I needed, and I that's how I found it. I never had deep faith or spirituality before, but this is how I found it. It was this experience was like a gift to me because I was able to experience things within me that I never knew I had.
well, what's interesting for me too, like I've always been very spiritual. I'm
Yeah.
not religious, I'm just very spiritual.
Yep.
Um, but oh, I forget what I was gonna say, so never mind.
It's okay.
Oh yeah, now I remember. So my partner, he's like saying, you're gonna be even better after this. You're gonna be even better than you were before you had the shitstorm, right?
Right.
And I am like, my MCS is like almost gone. My
Yeah.
anxiety is almost gone. I do a lot of EFT. I love tapping. It really
Thank
helps
yeah.
me. I love the somatic tracking. I don't do as much visualization as I used to now because I'm out and I'm doing, like, I get those dose chemicals when I'm singing my song, when I'm looking
Hey,
outside. Like, I always look around and I'm like so grateful for everything in my life, And when I want those dose chemicals, all I do is I just go, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I can feel my whole body filling with the dose chemicals.
you simmer in it. Yeah. And you
Yeah.
tasted the deliciousness, you savor the deliciousness of life, every little thing, walking, even just walking and seeing something in the tree. I'm able to enjoy it for everything that it is instead of before being hijacked by, my thoughts or my OCD looping thoughts. But now I can get into the flow and vibrate high with ease.
Yeah, or just like listening to the birds or,
Yeah.
like little simple things that just make life so much better. And that's the one thing that I'm very, very lucky. My partner, he is so amazing. He's been so, so supportive. He actually at one point suggested that I go see a hypnotherapist when I was really bad. And I did, and it helped because that's brain
Right.
retraining, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, this is helping. Okay, great. And I had 4 sessions and which was great. They record them. So I was able to listen to them afterwards. And that really helped a lot. But he lives right by the Ottawa River. And so um, when we're there, we go for walks for along the river at sunset. And we watch
Beautiful.
sunsets and we're always amazed by the sunset, it's always
Yeah.
beautiful. And he's a
Mm.
drone pilot, so we do a lot of filming of stuff. So that's been fun as well, right? Like that's been getting me out as well. And even when I was really bad last year, anytime we could go out and he would go out and drone, we bought these special little chairs so I could just sit there and watch and just look around and rest. And so
Yeah.
he has been such an amazing support. I would not be where I am right now without him, I don't think. So thank you,
Yeah.
Tom.
Support is really important. Yeah. Totally. Makes a big difference.
Yeah, really big difference.
Amazing. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. That was an amazing story. You know what would be good to have you on again in a year to see how far you're going from now to, because when you look back, like for me, in the middle of my journey, I didn't notice my wins right away, but it'd be like every 6 months moving forward, I look back, I would see the huge leaps and bounds that I made. So I'm interested to see where you're going to be in a year, right?
So am I. And I tell I'm in this little small kind of group coaching. We coach each other. And I was like, oh gosh, I forget what I was gonna say. I still have a little bit of cognitive ability, like little cognitive stuff, but
Yeah.
um yeah, so
Yeah, yeah, we'll get back together in a year, and then you'll tell me, how
oh
far
yeah.
you've come with there. Explain like some of the wins you got, you know.
Yeah, so
I
let me tell you my plan for like
right.
chicken tikka masala, baby. Chicken tikka masala. That's my
Oh,
goal. That's my ultimate goal.
with lots of peppers.
Indian food. Oh,
Yeah.
I miss
Hot,
it
spicy
so
with
much.
chili. You got
Yeah.
to have chili in there.
I'm not a big chili fan, but in
Do it
my
anyway.
in my brain retraining, my visualizations, I'm always
Yeah.
like, we have this place in Bali, we have an infinity pool, and as I'm going into the pool, I'm telling the chef, hey chef, can you make me some chicken tikka masala for my lunch?
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. No, it's good visuals. I love it. I still do them, even though I don't use them for health. I use them for businesses, and it's like a meeting with myself. I love doing it, and I think it's turning into a lifestyle. Some parts of
Yeah,
my health journey has morphed into a lifestyle to maintain, because I'm sure life's going to give me more curveballs, right? So
absolutely. And for me, I go with my intuition. So
yeah,
I knew brain retraining was not enough for me. And I didn't know why, but I just knew it. And that's why I didn't go with DNRS or Gupta, because it was only brain retraining. And
yeah.
I knew my nervous system needed something. I didn't know what or how, or I just knew that I needed more. And thank God I did Primal Trust. That was what really got me, I mean, I still do, like, I do eye yoga every morning. When I wake up in the morning, I do eye yoga. Sometimes I'll listen to a meditation or I'll do a visualization or something. And then I get out of bed and then I
Did you
make
ever
my
get
sing my song.
when you did your visualizations? Did you ever? Because for me, half of the reasons why I do my visualizations also because I tap into consciousness and I get my golden nuggets of clarity downloads. Did you get along the way? Did you have those too?
I used to get them all the time before I got sick.
Right,
Like I said, I'm a Reiki master, right? So anytime
right.
I did Reiki, I would just get downloads. Like I would just
Yeah,
like tell these people, okay, you need to do this, blah, 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 blah. I'm seeing this and I'm seeing that. Remember
yeah.
this one time I was doing Reiki on this girl and I said, I don't know, I'm seeing this anchor with a little like dolphin or something beside it. I don't know. I'm just seeing this, right? And she's like, oh my God, I have a necklace from my grandpa and it's an anchor. He used to be in the Navy and it's an anchor. And then she pulls out this little dolphin that she had in her pocket. I was like, oh my God, okay.
That's amazing. No, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
So I don't usually have too much of that anymore because throughout the journey, I kind of lost a little bit of faith in the Reiki. It's
Hmm.
all come back now, and I'm
Yeah.
doing Reiki on myself every day. I see a Reiki practitioner, like it really helps with your nervous system. So, and the other
Yeah.
thing that I started doing as well that has really, really helped me is I see she's a chiropractor, but she doesn't do the back cracking stuff.
Right.
She does network spinal analysis. And that really helped me to calm my nervous system down because it's about calming your nervous system down, getting your brain and your body to talk to each other properly again,
Yeah.
and releasing tension and emotions out of your body.
Right.
So when I
Right.
first started seeing her, oh my God, I cried so much. I
Yeah.
cried and I cried and I cried.
Yeah.
Now
You're
it's like,
releasing.
hey,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And what's really nice about it is that you don't have to know what those emotions are. They're just leaving your body and it's great, right?
Yeah.
And now it's just up to me to try to make sure that I am processing my emotions properly. And I'm still
Right.
learning that. I
Yeah.
I I did like a month of coaching with Jim Prusak.
I'm
Uh,
gonna have him on my show.
oh, he's
He's in
incredible.
June. I'm having him on June.
He's incredible. He's
I'm
just
excited to have him. It's gonna be
so
good.
awesome. Yeah. His work is amazing. And he's the same as Alan Gordon. He's got that voice. It's very calming. You feel safe.
Yeah.
And he just, yeah, I learned a lot from his coaching just with regards to, you know, personality types, why you have this personality types, your relationship types, why you have these relationship types. If you had parents that were like this, then you're going to be like this. If you have parents that were
Yeah.
like that, you're going to be like that, that kind of stuff, right? I mean, I had a lot of, I don't want to say I had some trauma when I was a child, you know?
Yeah.
And like I said, I was the sixth of seven. So,
Yeah.
and when I was born, my father was a drinker. And when I was 2 years old, he went into AA and he was in AA for the rest of his life. But I tell people sometimes it's harder living with a dry alcoholic than it is living with somebody who does drink
Right.
because they are stressed.
Right. That makes
They are
sense. Yeah.
super stressed.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was a little bit, he was, like I said, I love him dearly, but I have had some trauma
Yeah.
from his reactions sometimes, and I was always, I had sisters who would stand up to him and be like, "Rah," and I'm just like, you
Yeah.
know, because I was afraid of conflict and I couldn't stand up for myself. And I
Right.
was a people pleaser. I became a people pleaser. And I, was one of those people who would do whatever you wanted me to do to fit in,
Right.
you
To
know,
avoid the conflict
to
because it's
avoid the
so uncomfortable.
conflict. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
if somebody was doing something that really, really bothered me and they kept doing it over and over again and I didn't say anything about it, then I would just ghost them. I'd be like, yeah, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. You're doing this to me. I don't want to be friends with you. But I wouldn't
Yeah.
tell them why because I was too afraid.
Because you don't want to face it. You don't want to have to
Because,
tell them.
yeah, like, and then I would think, well, they don't care anyway.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't care. So why would I bother telling them? You
Yeah.
know, I just made excuses, right? So
Yeah.
this whole thing, I think the first thing anybody has to do with this is get their nervous system to calm down. That's to me, that's for me, that was the number one thing. Get my nervous system to calm down because I was up here I was so like, my shoulders were up around my ears. I was just like this all the time, constantly. Like like
Yeah.
somebody would make a noise on me, you know?
Yeah.
And now I'm so comfortable and calm most of the time. Sometimes I do get agitated and sometimes I do get, but and I know now what I have to do. I know the tools that I have to use. And I'm
Right.
very intuitive with the tools. Some days I need brain retraining, some days, I need EFT, some days I need somatic tracking, like whatever. And I just go to the one that comes to my head first.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work, then I go to the next one. But usually it starts to, and now I know, okay, well, the symptoms aren't going to go away just because you did something. So just do your little tool thing, change your brain, and go on with whatever you're doing.
Want it to be there. That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let it do its thing.
yeah, yeah. So I'm a little bit wobbly. That's okay. You
Yeah.
know,
So what? Embrace it.
uh, the only one that I just can't deal with is the
Tight
respiratory.
chest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the
I went
throat.
through that.
It's when it gets down into my throat, that's the one that's like, oh, that's scary. So the
Yeah.
food, I am in yeah, I'm doing expansion therapy with my food now.
Good.
That
Yeah.
is going
Just
really,
keep,
really well. Yeah,
yeah. Just keep on going. You will. I know you will. And yeah, I want to thank you for your story. This was a magical time. I really enjoyed it. And I
thank
gotta have you
you.
back in a year. So
Okay, and I'll be in Bali eating chicken tikka masala.
take pictures
Okay.
and send them to me.
All right, will do.
Awesome. Thank
Take,
you.
take care, Helmut. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.